That was a bummer, total bummer. What's up YouTube, Kato here, and today I'm playing cards. Let's continue on this journey together. I really appreciate the support, and let's hit the felt. Welcome back to the vlog. Thank you for being here. We're doing a $150 buy-in today. I know we just had a dynamite session the day before, but I find when I have a great session, I tend to overcompensate by playing a little more recklessly, and so I just want to go back to my roots, go back to the basics, play with $150 and see where it gets us. The first hand I get is Ace Jack offsuit, and when there's a bet in front of me to $21, I just fold it away. This is kind of a 3-better fold situation, and with $150, I don't want to risk my entire stack with a kind of a crappy hand. The next hand I look down at is Jack 10 of diamonds and the low jack. The middle position player to my right makes it $12, and I go ahead and make the call. It folds around, and so we're going heads up to the flop with $31 in the pot. The dealer puts out the 8 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, and 7 of spades. The opponent is first to act, and he goes ahead and continuations bet for $12. I can't fold this away. I have 2 overs, I have a backdoor diamond draw, and I have a gut shot. I make the call, $55 in the pot, and we're headed to the turn. The dealer puts out the 10 of clubs on the turn, which is one of the cards that we wanted to see. We now have top pair with a decent kicker, and the villain continues to tell his story with a $21 bet. I, of course, am not going to fold. I still have my gut shot, and with my top pair, I can easily call this down and bluff catch, essentially. I don't really have a great hand to raise with, but there's $97 in the pot, and the river is a 6 of spades. It's not a very beautiful card, seeing as it's 4 to a straight, and my opponent continues to bet out a small amount, $25 into a $122 pot, and of course, I'm just going to make the call. I could maybe raise here for thin value, but with a 4-liner out there, I just decided that I might as well end the hand and take the money in the pot. My hand turns out to be good, the villain mucks, and we're going to the next hand with $254 in our stack. Just a little PSA, only about 3% of my subscribers have hit the notification bell. YouTube really loves when subscribers do this, so if you want to help me out, I would really appreciate it. The next hand that we look at is pocket sixes, and when the player to my left raises it up to $15, there is one caller, but the stacks just aren't deep enough to give me the implied odds if I do hit my set to make this a profitable call, so I just fold it away. The next hand of note is King of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds. We have $254 in our stack, and we are in the big blind. The under the gun player bets to 10, the hijack calls, the small blind calls, and of course I call, bringing the pot to $44. We're going 4 ways to a flop. Sitting with a premium suited connector hand, I definitely could have thrown in the 3-bet here. It probably would have been better, and hoping to get at least one of the players behind me to fold, giving me better position. I was slightly concerned about the under the gun raise to 10, seeing as he probably isn't doing that with great holdings, but I just don't know the player to make a good decision on that. The dealer puts out the 3 of clubs, 5 of spades, and 2 of diamonds on the board. The small blind checks, and I also elect to check. The under the gun original raiser bets $12, and the small blind makes the call, and of course I make the call. With a backdoor flush draw and 2 overs, I think this is an easy call, $12 into a $78 pot. We're headed to the turn 3 ways with $90 in the pot. We're of course looking for a king, a queen, or another diamond. We don't really have much that can improve us beyond that, and the turn is the king of spades, a fantastic card. When the small blind checks, I think about taking initiative, but I plan something a little trickier, checking to the person who's been taking the initiative on all the streets, and again, he bets out $25. Now that I have a top pair with a fantastic kicker, I think that maybe I want to find out a little bit more information, put a little bit of pressure on my opponent, maybe slow him down on the river, and so I decided to min raise to $50. I really don't know if this was a good decision, but I'm likely beating a large percentage of the hands that my opponent could have, and with a hand like 10s or jacks, he could be slowing down because of this king, so I want to go ahead and start building the pot for myself. The player does make the call, and we are headed to the river with $190 in the pot. The next decision I make is not one that I'm proud of. When the dealer puts out the 3 of clubs on the board, I've built the pot up to $190. I can definitely be getting value from 10s, jacks, queens, but for whatever reason, I decide to check. Yep, I checked, and it makes no sense looking back on it. It's an extremely passive play, and I'm going to be good here a lot of the time. My opponent checks back right away, and I show my hand. He did call me on the turn, and so I never find out what he has, but I definitely should have been betting for value on the river. I more than doubled my original buy-in, and I'm sitting with $358 in front of me. I fold away a few more hands until I look down at pocket queens in the hijack. There is a straddle in this hand, and the under the gun +1 player decides to bet to $20. The middle position player calls, the low jack calls, and so with $76 in the pot, I'm definitely going to be putting in a 3-bet here. When deciding my bet, I decided that $60 just does not seem like enough. I want to size up and get it heads up, or I'm just willing to take this pot down right now. So I decided to bet $80. Very surprisingly, the small blind decides to just flat call me, which is very interesting. He only has about $44 behind him. I feel like he's trying to tell me something. I can't tell if he's trying to tell me that he has pocket aces or that he's scared of committing all of his chips. Regardless, with $43 behind, we're going to get it all in on the flop no matter what. But the low jack decides to come along as well. It is only $60 to call into a $235 pot, so it makes sense he could do this with a lot of his holdings that he was willing to call $20 with. Regardless, we're going 3 ways to the flop with $295 already in the pot. The dealer puts out the 10 of hearts, 6 of spades, and the 8 of hearts. This is a nice board that there's no ace or king, but it is also a very dangerous board. It's a two-tone board with a lot of connectivity. There are a lot of straight draws that are possible, and when the small blind checks, I think that the best option to do, seeing as both players have less than $100 anyway, is just to ship it all in. That's exactly what I do, and the small blind wastes no time putting his $36 remaining in the pot. The low jack folds away, and we're going to a run out to see the turn and the river. With $367 at stake and no more action, the turn is not what I want to see. It's the king of diamonds, and the river is the 5 of hearts. We're immediately given the bad news. Our opponent flopped a set with his pocket tens, and he's scooping this one, and now we are sitting with $244 in our stack. The next hand that we look down at is Queen Jack of Hearts in the hijack. With 2 limpers ahead of me, I decided to bet $12, and the cutoff, the under the gun player, and the middle position player all decide to make the call. We're going 4 ways to the flop with $52 in the pot. The dealer puts out the 3 of spades, 9 of clubs, 2 of spades, and although I hit absolutely nothing, when it checks to me, I decide to continuation bet for $25. I get called by the cutoff and the under the gun player. 3 people going to the turn with $127 in the pot. I realize at this point it's probably not my hand to win. The dealer puts out the 5 of clubs on the turn, and I decide to check, and it checks around. I get a little lucky when the dealer puts out the queen of spades, and when the under the gun player checks, I decide that I have great showdown value, and I don't really know where I am. I could be facing a re-raise by either of these players, so I decide to check as well. Instead of checking, closing the action, and going to showdown, the cutoff decides to bet $30. This is a very value-driven bet, it seems, but when the under the gun player makes the call, I'm getting fantastic odds, about 6 or 7 to 1 to make this call. I do have top pair with a jack kicker, and it came on the river, so it's unlikely that someone has a queen. But with the bet and the call on the river, it's hard for me to be good. I am just getting such juicy odds. I decide to make the call, and I get the bad news. The cutoff rivered the nut flush. He's scooping the pot, and now we're down to our original $150 buy-in. Things were going great, and now they're going south. The next hand I get is ace-5 of diamonds in the hijack, and I decide to limp in. I probably should have put in a raise here, seeing that I have position and that I have a pretty good hand. But when the big blind decides to make it $15, I make the call, and so does the cutoff. We're going 3 ways to a flop with $52 in the pot. I don't have the best position, but I do have position on the pre-flop raiser. The flop comes out 8 of hearts, 7 of spades, jack of diamonds. When it checks to me, I go ahead and put in a bet of $20. There's already $52 in the pot, and this could hit my limp calling range much better than it could hit the pre-flop raisers range, so all I have to do is get rid of the cutoff. However, that doesn't happen as he makes the call. We're going to the turn heads up after the pre-flop raiser folds away. The turn is the ace of clubs. It's a beautiful card to see, giving me top pair. There are a few aces that my opponent could have: ace jack, ace 7, ace 8, maybe ace x of hearts or spades, chasing the backdoor just like me, but I go ahead and bet out $30 thinking that I'm probably good, trying to take him to Value Town. He thinks about it, and he makes the call. We're headed to the river, $152 in the pot, heads up, and the dealer puts out the 6 of diamonds. I only have $79 behind me, or a half-size pot bet. I'm not sure if I want to be checking here and allowing my opponent to bet into me, maybe bluff, or if I want to bet for value with my ace, which may have a bad kicker, but I decide to go all in, hoping that he will be able to call me lightly with maybe a jack or pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket kings, if he has them, which I highly doubt he has something as good as kings. Regardless, the opponent thinks about it for a little bit and throws in 1 chip. Usually when you throw in a single chip like that, it's because it kind of hurts to make the call, but you're going to make it anyway. I show my hand, and my opponent mucks. We have now doubled our stack back up to $310, just like that. The final hand of the night, we get dealt pocket jacks, the absolute worst hand in poker, and I started recording a little bit late, but there was a straddle on the button, and there's 4 limpers, bringing the pot to $40, so I decided to 3-bet from the small blind to $45. Looking back on it, I should definitely have sized up more. I'm just inviting a waterfall effect. People are willing to call down looser on a straddle. It's effectively making the game bigger, and so my $45 bet is more like a $16 or $20 bet on a non-straddled hand. The under the gun player calls, the low jack and the cutoff all make the call. We're going 4 ways to a flop with $202 in the pot. I have a terrible hand and I have the worst position possible. Hopefully we get a good run out. The dealer puts out the 8 of diamonds, 8 of spades, and 2 of hearts. I'm not happy about the pair on the board, but I am very happy no ace, king, or queen showed up. So with $202 in the pot and a relatively dry board, I decided to go for it. I bet $125, leaving me $100 behind. I'm just trying to scoop this pot here. If someone has an 8, I'm absolutely devastated. The player in the under the gun position folds away, and then the low jack player decides to rip his stack all in for $500. The cutoff folds away, and with only $100 behind, I think I have to make the call here. He could have pocket 9s, he could have pocket 10s, but I am absolutely not looking forward to seeing what he actually has, and I get the bad news when he shows pocket deuces for a full house. That was a bummer, total bummer. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate the content, especially on a day like today, I'd appreciate a subscription and a like. I'm just going to keep pumping these out, so I'll see you next time. Kato out.